tonight's Ecobee training. Appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you for everyone attending online. We have Pete Wessel, who was in here last fall talking about Ecobee, and he's got some new exciting updates for the Ecobee thermostat line. Real quick, there's some housekeeping things I want to go over with. For everyone watching online, there is a question and answer box that is where you can interact with us. This is meant to be an interactive training. That goes for all you guys here in the audience. We want you to ask questions. It'll make the training better. And online, we will relay your questions to Pete in a timely fashion. So please use that chat box. There's a box for slides. You can get the slide presentation that he's doing. And this is a NATE certified training. So get your NATE numbers, fill that stuff out so you guys can get accredited for tonight's training. So Pete Wessel, welcome back to Jackson Systems. Good to see you again.
Thanks, JD. Yep.
Good to see you again.
Good to be back.
What do you have for us today?
So some exciting news. We just launched our new thermostat Monday.
Nice.
It's called the Ecobee Smart Thermostat Pro. So I'm going to talk a lot about that. Going to go through some product refresher information, just recap on how we do things, what other models are available, and then a quick recap on our commercial portal smart buildings. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So Pete, how long have you been with Ecobee?
About 14 months now.
Oh, nice. Still
Yes,
fresh.
over a year.
Now we here at Jackson, we worked with Ecobee for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And we've sold a lot of Ecobee as well. So you're welcome. But no, it's great to have you here. We have had a long-standing relationship with Ecobee. Ecobee, if you guys didn't know, these guys were the first Wi-Fi stat to hit the market, okay? And they're also the one and only thermostat that had Mr. Jeff Bezos from Amazon talk to them and say, hey, I want to put my product in your thermostat. A huge deal for smart home and smart home automation. So you guys need to pay attention to that too, as we'll kind of discuss that a little bit, what that means adding other products with the new Ecobee thermostat. So again, this is a interactive training, so please ask questions if you have any, especially everyone online. And last thing, everyone here filled out your name. Someone's going to get a free Ecobee 5. I call it Ecobee 5. I can't help it.
That's whatever it was called.
The Ecobee 5 is just way shorter. And also, we're going to give one away online. So stay tuned throughout the entire training, and we will call a name randomly online, and we need your information. We'll send you an Ecobee stat on Pete's bill here. All right, Pete, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, take it away. And
right.
Also online in the Q&A, you need to put in your NATE ID. I just got that wired in here.
Oh, okay.
So put in the Q&A your NATE ID. Okay? We're
yeah,
good?
and for the folks in the room, just make sure we get it too then. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right. Okay.
Take it away.
Okay. Thanks, JD. So, thanks for having me here, guys. Again, my name is Pete Wessel. So I'm the regional sales manager for Ecobee. I cover the entire Midwest region, so 11 states. So on the road a lot, but got my business cards up front here. Handed out some literature, so those of you online, we'll make sure we get you PDF files if you need that. Grab my business card and keep it. You're always going to have the best luck getting a hold of me. If you have an issue at all, if you have questions, you can always call me, shoot me an email, just take my card. I'll talk a little bit about our tech support line as well. They do a really good job. So, as JD said, I guess I already went through the agenda, so just kind of going through the new thermostat, our company background a little bit, a recap of our products, and then the smart buildings updates. So NATE certification, we just talked about that. Just make sure I have your contact information, your NATE ID, and we'll submit that for 2 CEUs towards your certification. Any questions on that at all? If you guys have questions, please shout them out. I welcome the questions. I like the two-way dialogue. You know, I don't want to just stand up here and bore you guys for an hour. So please ask. So Ecobee, we've been around about 12 years now. So we always like to show this slide. We've changed the presentation a little bit. This is actually the first Smart Thermostat Pro training I've done. So bear with me. Everything's switched up a little bit here. But we show this slide a lot. We show this timeline. As JD mentioned at the beginning, we were the first. So Ecobee actually invented the very first Wi-Fi thermostat. So we always like to mention that. It's been about 10 years since that first model rolled out. We are a young company. We are growing very, very fast. Headquartered in Toronto, Canada. We've gone from just a few employees in the beginning to over 500 now. So business is good. It's been a lot of fun for me so far. A couple things along the way that we've done. We launched the first of its kind as far as a contractor portal. So this is a free portal that's available to any contractor. They can sign up, they can track every single thermostat that they install. Every one of our units has a serial number on the bottom. You just log that in. I'll talk a little more about that. First, runtime reporting, our Home IQ. So that's another first in the industry. When you think about the sensors, so the sensors are really something that put us on the map. We were the first ones to do these as well. So about 5 years ago, these room sensors, they're wireless, they're looking for infrared body heat, and they're looking for motion. So they're always going to tell you two things. You tell you what the temperature is in the room. They're also going to tell you if someone's standing in the room, if there's occupancy. So these kind of put us on the map with our original residential Ecobee 3, and then a number of things since. So we're the Apple preferred HomeKit thermostat. We were the first ones to put a smart speaker in a thermostat, right? So with the Ecobee 4 and now with the new successor, the Smart Thermostat, they both have an Amazon Echo integrated right into the thermostat. So still the only one on the market. And we've got a lot of more exciting things coming, with the new stat, and later this year, you're going to see a lot of fun things coming along. So any questions on that so far? Okay. So as far as what we're here tonight to talk about, it's mainly the thermostat. With all of our new products, we're investing heavily in 3 technologies. So far field voice recognition, this is very important for us. Having the ability to just tell that computer what you want it to do in your house, right? People are getting into this more and more. So everything we do will have far field voice. We're going to be playing more and more with sensors. So we're going to pack as much technology as we can into every product. So sensors are important because they provide data. So we take that data, we collect mass amounts of them, and we try to figure out how to use it, right? So the idea is to use that data to implement more ways to automatically manage comfort, convenience in the home, right? So artificial intelligence is really what we're doing with this data. When you think about artificial intelligence, it's all about making things a little bit easier for people at home, right? People are busy. People are driving kids around, school, baseball practice. You don't have time to keep up with everything anymore. So this technology is really just designed to make the home a more helpful place, right? So that's the idea behind it. So with that, I'm going to play a little video. So hopefully Tyler's back there. Cue it up. Okay. So just show you a quick video here. The new Smart Thermostat Pro. So this is the successor to the Ecobee 4. It's been about 2 years exactly since we first launched that 4. Like I said, it will continue to have a smart speaker. It's got an Amazon product built right into it. The real change is going to be the computing power. So this has a quad-core processor, which is the same technology that you're going to find in a smartphone. So I don't think there's anyone else out there quite doing this yet, right? The original one, there were some drawbacks as far as what sort of technology and devices we could support with it because we didn't have that processing power. Now we have plenty under the hood to do a lot of new cool things with it, right? So dual band Wi-Fi, just like your smartphone, right? So you think about technology packed into one of these, it's going to be the same now. So you can connect 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz. Prior to that, our products would only work on 2.4. This opens up a lot of doors for us as far as convenience, but also commercial applications. A lot of institutions are using a 5 gig network. Larger broader band of what sort of devices you can have on that network. So this is great. Bluetooth is the other big thing, which is really neat about this product. So Bluetooth 5.0 is going to allow us to connect to other devices, possibly even down the road, HVAC equipment, right, to control or get that data back and forth. So you don't have to have everything on Wi-Fi anymore. You don't necessarily want all these devices on Wi-Fi, because the more you're connecting in your home, the slower your speed's going to get, right? So now you can go Wi-Fi, you can go Bluetooth, you can do it either way. You can push music to other speakers like Sonos or Bose. You can play Spotify now through the thermostat on here. There's a lot of new technology now. You've got a new speaker, which is much louder. People at work say it's about twice as loud. I'm not sure, but I can tell you it sounds really good. So new, louder, improved speaker. You've got parity with an Amazon Echo. So first party parity means that it will do everything that an Amazon Echo speaker will do. With the original 4, there were a couple things you couldn't do through the thermostat itself, like voice over IP phone calls, things like changing the name of Alexa. If you didn't like her name, and probably gonna light up here. If you didn't like that name, you wanted to change it. If your daughter's name was Alexa, right? You couldn't change it on the 4. So now with this one, you're gonna be able to do that. You're gonna be able to do a lot more stuff like drop-in messaging. You can do announcements, right? There's all these things that you can do with an Echo now. Now you can do it with the thermostat as well. So you've got a full-blown smart speaker on the wall along with a great thermostat. Physically, you can tell this is it right here. Doesn't look very different from the 4, right? So I've got a 4 in the box. This was plastic. Screen on the 4 was plastic. That was one complaint we had. They did scratch, right? So the shape is very, very similar, almost identical. Even the mounting base is identical. So you can pop the 4 off the wall. You can pop the Smart Thermostat Pro right on there. With this one, it's going to have a glass face, just like the 3 Lite, the lower cost option. So they look nice. LCD display, just really taking what we did well with the Ecobee 4 and making it better, right? So I'll go through what's in the box. You're still going to get a sensor. The room sensors really are probably the biggest change about this new thermostat. So sensors, I've got sort of just some cell sheets, literature. This is basically what's on the table. So if you guys ever need this sort of literature to put on your website or hand out to customers, you could always shoot me an email and I'm happy to get it to you. So the sensor, you can see this is the new one. This is the old one. They're a little bit smaller. This is really a big change. New battery, so it's about 3 times the battery life. So these should last somewhere around 5 years now. The original had a plastic stand. I mean, honestly, like when I put these side by side, I realized I always thought this looked really cool, but now this one is so much nicer. You just can't believe it. So the plastic stand is gone. We've got a nice brushed aluminum stand, and it's got a little magnet in the tip. So this just pops right on there. So you can still set this. Most people are going to put it on, a mantle or a bookshelf or something. You can still pop that back off. We give you a bracket for the drywall. You can put it flat on the wall. We also give you a bracket now where you can angle it. So both brackets have a self-adhesive option, or you can put a drywall screw right through here. This one is going to allow you to mount it where you can kind of point it down from a corner a little bit. So maybe you don't want it completely flat on the wall, eye level. You want to put it up a little higher, sort of out of the way so it looks better. Now you have the ability to do that with this new bracket. The pet detection, originally we had some feedback that it didn't always work great, like people that have big Great Danes, right? Sometimes it's going to set that off. So now we put a new infrared sensor in. It's much more accurate as far as telling the difference in body temperature between a person and an animal, right? So people are 98.6 average. Most pets are about 100, 101 degrees. So this is just improving that accuracy in determining, person versus pet. And then you've got an increase in range. So you've got 10% increase in range. So officially it's about 60 feet. I can tell you guys, I've played around with these in my house. It's definitely 100 feet, no problem, is what I'm seeing. We just, that's what we published is 60. It's quite a bit further than the original sensors. And the battery is going to last a lot longer. So the most important thing is 5-second refresh rate now as well. With the original, the refresh was much slower, so you would see a delay between showing occupancy or updated temperature on here, usually a couple minutes. So now it's 5 seconds. That's like the new benchmark for us. You're going to see it almost instantly when there's occupancy or when the temperature changes. It's going to pop right up on your app. You're going to be able to do a lot more things with the sensors through some of these smart home platforms as well. If you're using Apple HomeKit, for example, you're going to be able to tell that sensor when you detect occupancy, turn the lights on, right? Play some music. You can do all these things automatically now because that refresh is so much faster. Questions so far on this?
How many sensors can you hook up to one stack?
Yeah, great question. So 32 sensors. The new sensors are interchangeable with the old. So the new sensors will work on the older residential models. The old sensors will work on the new.
You can then name each sensor, I assume?
Yeah, so you would change the name to each sensor. You can customize it, call it whatever you want. You don't have to because everyone has an alphanumeric number on the back. Okay. So you can leave it at that if you want, but we recommend that you name them based on where you put them in the house.
How much? So the kit comes with one. How much is an additional sensor?
So you have to buy them in a 2-pack. I don't have the new sensor 2-pack yet, but the MSRP is $79 for a pair. So no change to the price. Our suggested manufacturer's retail price is still the same, so MSRP does not change. Yes, please, JD.
Mark has a question about is there a difference between the Android platform and the Apple platform as far as how the app operates?
Yeah, so difference between the Android app and the Apple app, yes. There are a few features that are slightly different between the two. But for the most part, you can do everything that you can on the Android app that you can on the Apple app. The big difference is things like geofencing. The way you set that up and the way that works is just a little bit different between Android and Apple. Yes, question?
And another question online. Can you use this as just the Amazon Alexa without wiring it up to HVAC equipment?
Yeah, I mean, you could if you want. Yeah, all you have to do is activate the Common and the RC terminal, and you've got power, and you can connect it to Wi-Fi, and you don't have to control equipment if you don't want to, I guess. Yeah, kind of a funny one, but yeah.
Where's the sensors go for those customers that complain about has one system with no zone? Those upstairs, can that help eliminate some of that?
Yeah, so the question was, do the sensors help eliminate temperature differences throughout the house, sort of like zoning? So it's not zoning, right? We don't market this as zoning. It's really a good low-cost alternative to it. So
That was my question.
So you're absolutely right.
Without having to get the great expensive zoning to help mediate that temperature difference.
Right, so if you've got a natural 3 or 4 degree difference from one floor to the next, put a sensor up in that warm or cold room, and it's going to balance it out nicely. It's usually going to do the trick without zoning panels. Yeah. Yes, please.
Are you getting any feedback for overshooting whenever you're putting these sensors in certain areas, especially like you said up high where it's going to be a little warmer per se in the summertime?
Yeah, overshooting as far as overconditioning.
Yeah, like the main level. Are you seeing any big changes down there?
Yeah, so the question was, when you are using the sensors, are you overconditioning different sections of the house based on the temperature differences? And the answer is yes, because you're not changing the direction of the airflow. If you're trying to cool upstairs in the summertime, you're going to make it extra cool on the first level. You're just trying to keep people happy upstairs, right? So I'll talk a lot about the sensors and how we can use them. Yeah, I'll get into that next. Any other questions before we move on? Yes.
Just I think I know the answer to this, but can you have, or is there a minimum for the geofencing? I guess what's the range for the geofencing that you can set with this thermostat?
As far as I know, you can set it as far out as you want. Yeah. Because I've played with it, and I think you can go out like hundreds of miles if you want to. But I can double check that one. That's not a question I get very often.
And
Yeah.
also, is there battery backup, or is it battery operated, or?
So I'll talk about that a little bit,
Okay.
but there is no internal battery on any of our products other than to retain settings. So there's a small low voltage battery for memory, but there is no battery to maintain power, right? Yes.
Got another question. Mark wants to know, does it take two sensors to do the averaging, or will the thermostat act as the second sensor?
So out of the box, if you've got the thermostat plus the extra room sensor, then you do have to have two to average. So the thermostat by itself without a room sensor, you're just going to get a temperature read at the thermostat, right? Good to move on, or?
Yep.
Okay. So still sold in the 2-pack. We've got the Pro version on the thermostat. The room sensor, there really isn't a Pro version. You just have to buy them in pairs. Really no difference between retail and the Pro with just the sensors. But with the thermostat, it is a different part number. It's a different serial number that we track. It's a longer warranty. That's what I forgot to mention earlier. So when we design these products, right, we always want them to look good. It's got to look nice on the wall. It's got to have that techie look and feel that people want, especially with a newer home. You know, you don't want to put a 20-year-old thermostat on the wall. Control on the go is important. People love to control everything from their phone, so this is key. Another thing is just enhancing comfort and the experience, right? Trying to keep people happy, balancing out the temperature, using those sensors to sort of automatically prioritize how you're using temperature input. So that's what it's all about for us. Planet Positive, this is something that we added. We're really trying to be more eco-friendly, more environmentally conscious. So things like the packaging, you're gonna see new look. It's got this nice like foil look. When you turn it, the color changes. Everything in the packaging is gonna be 100% recyclable, right? So we're just trying to do things more responsibly with the new one here. And then reliability. So as you asked earlier, does it have a battery? No battery. We don't believe in batteries because eventually that battery will die. And that's really been a big part of our success is we are very, very reliable. We get less than 1% warranty that actually fails. So probably less than 0.5% now, I think is what I heard. So very, very good product as far as the SmartStat goes. Very, very reliable. You're not stealing power from the control board. You're not recharging that internal battery to keep the thermostat running. You got to have a common wire, right? So if you don't have a common wire, we still will always give you the power extender kit. So maybe you need this half the time. It's always in the box. You can sort of stockpile these in your truck, right? This does not change from the 3-light to the 4 to the new Smart Thermostat Pro. It's the same part. I'll explain this a little more in detail later, but essentially if you don't have a common wire, you've got 4 wires, this will give you that common connection, and we always include it in the box. We don't sell it separately, just always there. We try to be thoughtful about getting you the right components and accessories that you're going to need to go and install it right the first time and not have to run back to the distributor for more parts, right? So any questions so far on that? Okay. Good. So moving right along, everything is ENERGY STAR certified. So when you think about rebates, right, we're going to be one of those SmartStats out there that qualifies for the rebates. So usually between 50 and 100 bucks. They're starting to even get higher. ECMs is a big focus, so you're starting to see a SmartStat ECM swap out combo, $200, $250 in some areas. Doesn't matter where the homeowner gets the thermostat, they're always going to qualify for that rebate. So whether you're selling it to them, whether they went and bought it at Best Buy, right? Doesn't matter if they get it from the utility company, they still get that rebate. One thing I tell contractors to be aware of you're going to see the utility companies. You know, you're going to see IP&L. You're going to see, what's the other one down here? I'm trying to blank, Duke. So a lot of these guys will be selling it on their website. A lot of times what they do is they front load that rebate into the price. So they'll advertise like, you know, an Ecobee 4 for 99 bucks or something. And then what they're doing is they're loading that 100 bucks right into the price. So it's just something to kind of watch out for. It's a little bit deceptive. I always try to bring it up with my management, and it doesn't help me. I don't handle the utilities, but just causes problems more than anything for me. But we've got a few different channels that are selling these products. So everyone else is always going to get the retail version, which is only a 3-year warranty. The Pro version is only going to be available through a distributor like Jackson Systems, right? Questions on utilities? Good, okay. All right, so we always like to talk about, you know, why we do things the way we do, why it's different from zoning. So you think about your thermostat at home, and you can kind of shout it out. Where is it mounted in your house today, right? Worst possible place. Hallway. This is often a dining room, living room, yeah. Exactly. So that's really the issue, you know, and that's where the sensors were kind of born. I mean, we find that we've always trained contractors to keep the thermostat central in the house, right? Keep it on an inside wall. You're measuring that core temperature in the home or the building. That's the goal. Now the issue is you've got those hot and cold spots. Everybody has a bedroom that's always too warm in the summer, too cold in the winter, especially in the Midwest. Weather's crazy here, you know. So these are really designed to put around the house where you spend your time. So we talk a lot about the sensors, and we talk a lot about savings, because those are two things that are important to people, is staying comfortable and saving money, right? Very personal things. So the sensors, these are, you know, gonna go in your bedrooms, maybe your dining room, probably your TV room, probably not your kitchen, right? Not by a stove. It's gonna get hot. You don't wanna put it in a sunroom where the sun's beaming in. It's gonna throw that temperature read off. You just wanna be thoughtful about where you're putting them. Most of the time, like I said earlier, you're just gonna snap this little stand on, and you're gonna put it on a bookshelf or a mantle or something, a nightstand next to your bed. So you put them around the house. They're gonna do a few things. They're gonna tell you the temperature. Most people only need about 3 or 4 for your typical home. You can do up to 32. So 32 is kind of an obscure number, but 32 can come into play with bigger homes or maybe commercial applications. Usually about 3 or 4 around the house, couple upstairs, couple downstairs. And what you're gonna do with them, by default, they're just gonna average. So someone asked a question earlier. Averaging just takes a constant read from each sensor plus the thermostat, and it pushes hot or cold air until that average is satisfied, until it meets the set point. So averaging is very basic. Just you set it up, you don't do anything else, that's what you're gonna get. We have a mode called Follow Me. So Follow Me is the better solution. So you've got averaging basic, Follow Me better, good, better, best, right? Follow Me just means that the sensors are gonna pick up people. So like the best story I have so far with this, I put one in just over a year ago. I put it in my house, and everyone's in the backyard having a barbecue. You know, we're having a party, no one's really in the house. Kids run in, they go upstairs. We've got a sensor upstairs. Sensor picks up the occupancy, kicks the air on, try to cool upstairs and keep them comfortable, right? As the kids move from one bedroom to another bedroom, got another sensor in the other bedroom, it's gonna start to transfer. So it's gonna wait 5 minutes to engage because we don't wanna short cycle the equipment. And it's gonna take 30 minutes to disassociate. So once they move from master bedroom to the kids' room, it's just gonna start to transfer over. And it's gonna take the average between the two in the meantime until it completely disassociates. Then it's only taking temperature input from the new bedroom where they're at. It's still ignoring the other sensors on the first level because no one's there. So you're really just automatically prioritizing how you're using your temperature input, right? So that's automatic. You just turn on Follow Me, and it's just going to follow people throughout the house where they are. It's going to try to keep them comfortable. We're really just trying to keep people happy, right? And then you've got participation, which is the best mode. So participation means you've got to use a schedule. So you've got that weekly programmable schedule feature. You don't have to use it. A lot of people don't want to mess with it, but a lot of people also love it because what you can do is you can set up those comfort settings, home, away, sleep, and you can, bless you, and you can go into each comfort setting and you can pick and choose which sensors you want to use for your temperature input. So you're going to manually override occupancy in that case. So most people are using it when they're sleeping. They've got a sensor upstairs on the nightstand. Maybe they've got teenagers that come home at 2 in the morning. Wintertime, it's always warmer upstairs in the master bedroom. Keep me 68 degrees up here. Ignore the other sensors down here. I don't care if someone comes home, right? I don't care if someone gets a midnight snack. It's going to let that room temperature downstairs drop now, right? So you can use it to save some money. So if you've got a 4-degree difference, people like it cooler at night, got a sensor in the bedroom, set up that schedule, turn off those other sensors on the first level. You're just using that sensor upstairs, right? You guys got questions on that? Yes, please.
How does geofencing and Follow Me, how do they collaborate? Is it similar to what you just explained with how it shuts them off down there? Like if you've got your phone in your pocket, leave the house,
Mm-hmm.
it's still trying to pick up on occupancy, or is it just following your own weight schedule?
Yeah, so question is basically how does geofencing differ from Follow Me? So Follow Me is really only going to come into play when people are occupying the house. So if you're using geofencing, not everybody's necessarily going to have a phone, right? So geofencing is driven from your cell phone. If you have people in the house but you're not home, it's still going to detect that occupancy and it's going to work to keep them comfortable. Yeah. It doesn't really work that well for me because like my kids don't have phones, right? So they're home during the day. My wife and I aren't. Geofencing is not ideal for me, but for a lot of people, you know, you work 20 minutes away, you know exactly how long it's going to take you to get home. That can work really nice for you. Question, yes, please.
Talk a little bit about how this all works if you've got zoning. Maybe you've got 3 thermostats,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got a zone control system, and now you've got these things. What are some of the things you need to think about?
Yeah, so the question is if you've got zoning, like 3 different zones, for example, and you've got a thermostat on each zone, you're going to want to be thoughtful about where you're putting the sensors, most importantly. You're going to want to keep those sensors within the zone that it's paired to on the thermostat, right? You're not going to be able to control zoning panels. You're not going to be able to tell them when to open or close, but you can still benefit from having that temperature input, maybe upstairs versus downstairs or with a wrench or something one side to the other. You don't want to put the sensor for zone 1 in zone 3. Other than that, it's going to work with zoning. Like you're going to be able to run it through zoning equipment. You're just not going to have that control for the most part. Yes, another question? Question is how many zones can you handle on the app? So are you asking how many thermostats?
Like if a customer wants these on their zoning system, how many can they control from one app?
So from one residential app, which is free, you can have 15. Yeah, that's the limit. And then you can always set up a second residential app, and you'd have to log out of one and log into another. We would recommend when you get above 15 that you use our Smart Buildings platform. Yeah. Yes, please.
As far as setting up the sensors, do you have to worry about like line of sight vents or registers? How much would that affect the sensor reading temperature? Not at all because it's infrared, or some because it's going to sense the room temperature.
It's measuring at the sensor. So unless you've got it right, you know, then. So the question was, how much do you have to worry about line of sight, you know, with hot or cold air blowing on the sensors, right? So unless it's basically right on top of the vent or something, the return, it shouldn't matter at all. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So the other side of this with sensors that we do, we talk a lot about the sensors. We try to keep people comfortable through the follow me mode, through the participation mode. I use participation during the week when my wife's working at home. She's upstairs. She's always warmer than she needs to be. I can say, hey, I want to save a little money. I'm going to let the temperature on the first floor drop because no one else is home, right? So that's how we're keeping people comfortable. Sometimes we're saving money. You're not always going to save money though, right? So you're just prioritizing with the sensors. In the cases where you are over conditioning, you're using the averaging mode. We do over condition often. That's not how we save money, obviously. So we have automatic setback features built into the thermostat. That's how the EPA, that's how we meet the requirement for Energy Star. We save on average 23% for the homeowner by using these setback features. So it's called Smart Home, Smart Away. The sensors are going to keep people comfortable, but they're also going to save money because when you leave the house, that sensor is going to pick up, okay, there's no more occupancy. And after 2 hours, it's going to go into a soft setback mode. So after 2 hours, it's going to start letting that room temperature rise or fall depending on the time of year. That's all automatic, right? Is there a question?
Yeah, I got a question just to confirm. These aren't BACnet capable, are they?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, Smart Home, Smart Away just means when you think you're going to be home, right, and you've got a schedule that says I'm home all weekend, but then you get a phone call and there's a family emergency or something, you got to run out of town, it's going to manage that setback for you whether you're thinking about it or not. Yes, question please.
Doesn't start setting back for 2 hours after you left the home?
Yeah, so the question was, when is it?
Is that time?
So it is 2 hours. It automatically will go into a soft setback after 2 hours, and you cannot determine that time period. What you can do is you can use a schedule to go into an away mode if you want it to take effect quicker. But it's always 2 hours, yeah. Another question?
Unless you would hit the away mode, then it wouldn't override the 2 hours.
Correct. Then it'll start going into a setback because you're using the schedule. Yeah. So what'll happen though is if you're in away, but someone is home, it's going to pick up that occupancy and it will override to keep them comfortable. Right. So as long as no one's home, it's in the soft setback mode. The goal is after 2 hours, it's going to start saving you money. But when you come home, it should be able to kick on the equipment and recover to your scheduled set point within 30 minutes. So I think JD had a question first.
Yeah, we online. How many schedule periods does the stat do? Is it just your standard 4, or can it do more?
No, you can customize. As far as I know, there's really no limit. You can set up as many as you want. It's by default home, sleep, and away, but you can do, baby sleep time. You can do work from home. If it's a business, overtime, that kind of stuff, inventory, whatever. So there's really no limit as to how many settings. Is there another question?
So is it ideal really to be pushing these sensors? Because if you're away from the house and you have a significant other that's home and you don't have a sensor, and they really are particular about the temperature, is it going to soft setback with them in the house? Is that not an option?
So when you say pushing the sensors, you mean selling them?
Yes,
Or?
I mean just advising them that it's going to be ideal if you have somebody in the house all day.
Yeah, so I think your question is basically, is it better to have more sensors throughout the house, right? Your typical house, if you've got one on each floor, it's usually pretty good. If you've got this setup where people spend all their time in the front of the house, but they only have the thermostat or the sensor in the back, then yeah, it's not going to necessarily know you're there, and it could go into the setback mode. It could also work against you as far as over conditioning, depending on your layout, right? So you just want to try to have them throughout the home where you're spending your time, typically, yeah.
Real quick, can
Question?
you repeat his question? What was his question?
I think the question was do we want to be telling homeowners that they need more sensors because they're not getting a good representation of the temperature throughout their house unless they've got them, because it doesn't always pick up that occupancy? Yeah. Any others? Okay. So Smart Home, Smart Away, that's the setback feature. That's how we save people money. Follow me and participation, that's going to be comfort, right? So 2 set it and forget it features. When you set these up, you've got follow me, you can enable it, it's automatic. You've got Smart Home, Smart Away, same thing. You don't have to use it. You can turn it on or off. Those are the two features most people are going to be using. That's usually going to keep them happy. Any other questions on this? So when you think about how do we determine that setback, it's always 2 hours. It should always recover within 30 minutes. The way we're doing it primarily is through information over Wi-Fi. Weather is the biggest factor. So we're really looking at what's the outdoor temperature, what's going on with the weather in your area. We don't use outdoor sensors, right? We use Wi-Fi. We're going to determine, depending on your equipment, depending on the weather, depending on the type of home, the age of your home. So the homeowner's going to have to answer questions like, what year was your house built? How many bedrooms? Is it an apartment? Is it a standalone single family? Based on all of that input, we can start to determine how efficient overall is the house, how quickly can you heat or cool it, and that's going to be the baseline for the setback in degrees, right? So you can't really control exactly what you want that to be. That's what we do through algorithms. It's constantly calibrating based on updated Wi-Fi information. Questions? That makes sense? Okay. Cool. So before I get into the fun stuff, talk about the features and benefits here from an HVAC standpoint. So with the Smart Thermostat Pro, just like the 4, like I said, there's nothing drastically different. It's really more home automation, more being able to control these different devices and use the sensors for more things. You've got 2 stages, heat, 4 stages, cool with conventional. I just noticed this is a typo, so this is wrong. No, it is right, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at it backwards. So it's 4 stages, heat with a heat pump. So you still have 2 cool, 4 heat. It's 2 cool, conventional, 2 heat, conventional. So the first line is wrong. That should be 2C. So these are new slides, so we gotta get the bugs out. So 2 heat, 2 cool, conventional, 4 heat with the heat pump. You've got 1 accessory you can control. So you've got an accessory plus and minus terminal on the back of the thermostat. You can run a ventilator in. You can do a humidifier, dehumidifier. You have to pick one or the other. So you can't humidify and dehumidify, but you can run 1 accessory. You've got a 5-year warranty like I talked about. Always going to be 5-year with the Pro version. Question, please?
On the accessory one, is that's not a powered set of terminals, that's dry contacts, right?
Yeah, correct. So the question was, are they dry contacts? And yeah, the answer is yes. It's more built into the software as far as what you're bound by, what you can control. Yeah. Is there? Okay. So Alexa built right into it. Smart sensor always included. So just like the 4, she's talking. The 3 light, so still 2 heat, 2 cool, still 4 stages with the heat pump, 2 auxiliary, still a 5-year warranty, always 5 years. No sensor in the box with the 3 light, so that's this one. Still a great thermostat, you just don't get all the bells and whistles. You can't control an accessory, there are no accessory terminals, and there's no speaker built in. So again, it's no speaker, no sensor, no accessory terminals. If you want to add sensors to these, you can buy them in pairs. You can still add up to 32. You just got to get them separately. All right, so now we can play with this speaker a little bit. I don't know how many of you have an Amazon at home, an Alexa speaker. Like I said earlier, this is an Echo integrated right into here. So you can do things like stream music, right? So Alexa, play some 80s rock. I know this is what JD likes.
I couldn't find any 80s rock songs by notices.
That's a new one. Alexa, play some classic rock music.
Here's a station you might like, classic rock, on Amazon Music.
So if you subscribe to Amazon, through Prime, you're going to get music. If you're using Spotify, you can play it on here. Speaker sounds pretty good. You can do weather. You can check the news. You can get your news updates every morning if you want. Yeah. Alexa, volume 10. So you can just adjust it through voice, 1 to 10. You can do routines with these. You know, you can set up your lights. So you can tell her, turn my lights on in the living room. Turn so-and-so's bedroom the color green. Do all this stuff. And here it's pretty good. This building, Alexa, stop. And you see how fast that lights up and how quickly it responds. The processor is just light years ahead of the original. So, Alexa, stop playing the music. I'm like yelling at it. So I am going to mute her. Was there a question?
I got a couple online. One, how many languages can you do for voice control?
Ooh. Jeez, I can't believe I haven't had that one.
I'm assuming the big three are probably English, Spanish, and French.
It would be, if you looked in the Alexa app, whatever languages are in the app is what your options are. Yeah, that's a good, yeah. Thanks, Tom. Alexa, how many languages can you speak?
I can speak several languages. To switch your language, go to Alexa devices in the Alexa app, choose your device, and select language.
So quite a few.
Yeah.
If you want, I can check. Are you looking? I would say I can look at my phone.
And then the other question was, do you need an 8-wire thermostat? Do you need an 8-wire thermostat wire for the Pro?
The question: do you need an 8-wire bundle?
Yeah.
Basically, no. No, you would just need at a minimum 4 wires to make it work. So, question? Yeah, so that's where I was going to go next. Thank you. So you've got all these things you can do through the speaker, right, if you're using Amazon. So if you're not using Amazon, we're still going to be compatible with all of these smart home ecosystems. It's the right term for it. So if you're using Google at home, if you're using IFT for certain things, if you're using Apple, right, we're not going to make homeowners pick and choose what they have to use. The difference is they're going to get more out of it if they're using Amazon because they've got an extra speaker. They still, if they've got a separate, Google Home speaker, they can still control the thermostat through that speaker. They just have to have that separate accessory. So we're going to integrate with basically any smart home platform that's out there because we leave our application programming interface open, our API. We don't restrict it. So you can't say like, "Hey Google," and have it play. Someone's phone just it's getting out of control, all the different. So if you have Google, you can't play it through this speaker, but you can still control the thermostat. You can still say, "Turn the heat up," or "Turn my air on," whatever. Yeah. Question?
So you mentioned you have to have at least 4 wires, correct?
Correct.
Is there any way to do a 2-wire heat system, or will it not work with it?
So if you've got a boiler, for example, right, running standalone heat, you can do it with 3 wires. You would just have to have that common wire. If you only have 2 wires, like a red and a white, you would need a fast stat or like a common maker accessory. So this is like a little communicating module that tucks back behind the wall that you can run 2 wires into one end and it will give you the low voltage lines you need. Yeah. Okay. Good to go?
Can that pair with other, did I understand that question right? That can pair with other Bluetooth speaker?
Yeah, so the question is, since there's Bluetooth in this thermostat, will it link to other Bluetooth devices? And absolutely. So that was one area of opportunity we saw is before you had to have everything on the same Wi-Fi network. Now you don't have to have everything on Wi-Fi. You can use just that Bluetooth signal to control other speakers, other devices, right? Yep. Yeah. Sounds good for a thermostat, right? That's what people joke. So I'm going to move on. The key here is, we're going to integrate into most homes. We won't make the homeowner just use Amazon, right? They can use whatever they want. This is the flexibility that Ecobee really takes pride in. We don't want people to have to pick one platform to use. They can customize it however they want. You've got the mobile app right? You've got tablet, iPhone, Android phone. You've got the iWatch for those iWatch users. I have a Fitbit, which I love. But if you want to control your thermostat from your watch, you want to talk to it, whatever, you can do it. It's available. So this is all free. The look and feel from the device to device is very consistent. So this is important to us. Early on, we launched a mobile app, and it looked totally different from the online portal, and people didn't like that because it's just not user-friendly. So now everything looks just like the face of the thermostat, right? The difference is if you've got a bigger display like an iPad or a laptop, you're going to see a lot more information. You're going to see the Home IQ information. The homeowner has free access to this. They can look and they can see all sorts of information, like what are your savings month to month? Yes, question please?
In with this, you had mentioned earlier about the 2-hour setback automatically. Is the thermostat utilizing this information to basically reprogram itself as it learns the house more?
Yes, correct. So it's always, the question is, the setback feature, is it always recalibrating based on the Wi-Fi data coming in? And yeah, it's always based on weather primarily, it's recalibrating. So it's not always gonna let your air turn off when it's 95 degrees, right? It might let that indoor temperature change a degree or two. Same thing like if you're running a heat pump and outdoor temperature's plummeting, right? It's not gonna turn off the heat and let that outdoor or that indoor temperature drop, because to recover you've got to use backup heat, and then you're not saving money, right? So it understands that sort of, yeah.
It's integrating what it knows based off of whether it's picking up the data that you input in the beginning as far as the construction of the house, the age of the house, the rooms of the house,
Right.
the type of equipment it goes to, and then it's data logged runtime, and it's recognizing, hey, at this period of time, at this weather, I've got to run X to maintain such.
That's exactly it. Yeah, you well put. Yep. So that's where this Home IQ comes in, because this is where they're going to be able to see what are my utility costs and how much month to month am I estimated versus a 72-degree hold. You know, like I said, 23% is the average. That varies depending on where you live, but this is really where you can kind of see that hard data behind it. There are some assumptions built into this, of course. You know, it's not 100% accurate, but homeowners are interested in how much am I saving. They don't really care about this runtime information for the most part. Most of them don't understand it like we do. Professionals are going to love this, because if you're using it in your home, you're going to see 15 months back. You can go back and look. If you're installing these in customers' homes and you're using our free contractor portal that I mentioned earlier, all you got to do is log this serial number, and now you can see at no extra cost this same information for every one of your customers, right? So homeowner has 15 months. Contractor can have a snapshot of this information. About 3 days is what we give you. The reason it's only 3 days is because privacy comes into play. We take privacy very seriously. And if someone can develop a pattern based on when you're not home, because it's going to show you people are home and when they're not, based on that occupancy and the set point changes and everything. So not saying people, you know, are creeps or have bad intentions at all. It's just, it takes sort of one rotten apple to spoil the bunch, right? So we give you a snapshot of that information. Yes, question?
Does that savings tracker, does this show up on the mobile app, or does it have to be on a tablet or a computer?
Question is, does the savings tracker show up on the mobile app for a phone, I assume? Yeah. So no, you're not going to see it on a phone because the screen is just not big enough. You've got to have a bigger monitor.
And also, I had another question from Mark. He wants to know what the deadband range is and if it can be changed.
Oof, that one is a little bit over my pay grade, I think. I would have to find out exactly what the deadband is. I don't know. Question was, what is the deadband? I don't know offhand. If someone...
Talking about the deadband between heating and cooling, set points, and auto changeover.
Oh, it's 5. I'm sorry. Yes, it's 5 degrees between heat and cool.
I'm guessing it's probably adjustable, I would think.
It is. You can adjust it. It defaults to 5, which is kind of high. I'm sorry, I thought deadband referring to Wi-Fi. That's kind of where my mind went. So it's a little late in the day. So yeah, it defaults to 5. You can adjust it down to 3, I think. 2? Is it 2? Okay, thanks.
Based on this one, and all the way up to 10.
Yeah, I'm thinking Wi-Fi stuff. So questions on how contractors can use this compared to a homeowner? Anybody? So from the contractor point of view, this is going to give you diagnostic information that can be very important. Most manufacturers are doing something similar. We don't charge for it. You can have as many thermostats out there as you want. You can push your company information to those thermostats. So you don't necessarily have to put your company information on the stat physically anymore. It's all digital. So you can have it pop up, but you should, yeah. But it's nice to have both, right? So the nice thing is when there's an alert or a reminder, it's going to send an email to the customer, the homeowner. It's going to tell them you might have a problem. Contact Godby at 219, whatever your phone number is. It's going to pop up in their email. It's going to come up on the thermostat. You can set it up through the portal where you get those same notifications that the homeowner sees, if you want. Right, just like the runtime data. If you want to see this information in their home, you can. The idea is we want it to be a tool, so when you get that phone call that their heat's not working, you can look at this raw data and you can tell pretty quick if it looks like there's a legit issue or maybe the customer's just complaining or changing the set point, right? Questions on that? All right, I feel like I'm moving a little fast, but keep going, yeah. 2 is the minimum. Yeah, no, thanks. It defaults to 5. All right, so what's in the box? So just like before, the Ecobee 4 sub-base is identical. So same exact sub-base, same wiring. Sensors new, right? We talked about these. A little different, a little smaller, better, right? Longer lasting. You still get the sensor. You still always get the power extender kit. This is exactly the same as before. No change to this. We give you some drywall screws. We give you, with the Smart Thermostat Pro, the same wall plate as before. So you can paint this. You can use this to cover up a hole very nicely. There's some instructions in here. I recommend watching the videos as a refresher, but you guys are pros, so you're going to have it after one or two installations if you haven't done them already. As far as the wiring and the install, there's really no difference between the 3-light, the 4, and the Smart Thermostat Pro. There's nothing significantly changing. So you're going to be able to work, no problem with your conventional setups. You are going to be able to make it work with a boiler. We talked about that. If you've got a dual transformer setup, you've got an air handler run to the boiler, and you've got all the wiring tied out to one control, then you're going to be fine. You got enough wires, no problem. I talked about the boiler. You might need to get one of these at a common maker fast stat devices to make that work. Heat pump system. So really nothing special as long as you're not using the add a wire. You've got your reversing valve. You hook that up. The thermostat is smart. It knows in the setup process, okay, we're running a heat pump. It's going to ask you all of that input that it needs to know. Like, how do you want to energize? What's your outdoor temperature threshold? How do you want to stage, right? It's going to ask you all of that stuff right in the setup process here. If you are short a common wire and you're using this, your configuration is going to change a little bit at the thermostat. So we always touch on this just because it's not very intuitive. But essentially there's a magnet on here, and I want to stay on camera. So I don't know if I've got any metal, but you can stick this down in the furnace, right? Pop open the control board, and you're going to run in these 5 wires to the board. You're gonna take the 4 wires that were run in there and pop those off. Stick this on the door or wherever you find a spot, and then you're gonna take those 4 that are coming through the wall. You're gonna run it into this as labeled. So Nothing special here. It's as labeled. It just goes 4 in, 5 out, right? What is different is up at the thermostat. So on the left up here, you've got a different configuration because the thermostat has to understand we're short of wire, and it's going to have to make that jump, that we call it multiplexing, to maintain a common connection. So essentially, you're going to run your power wire always into RC to get it to turn on. You have to run into RC. If you run into RH, you won't get power. You're going to run your fan wire into the common terminal, only when you're using this. So G is going to go into C. You're going to run the Y. So your first stage cool is going to run into PEK. So there's a terminal up here, PEK. And then everything else is the same. So it's really just always R into RC, fan into common, G into C, and then your Y into the PEK. And that's how it understands your short of wire. Yes, please.
What if you have second stage cool but no common? Will you run it through Y too?
Question was if you have second stage cool but still no common. So you're saying you would have 5 wires, but you still don't have a common wire. Yeah, so you can still use this to add a wire. Yeah, so if you've got 5 and you need 6, still put this down and just repurpose that extra wire. Yeah. Another question?
Question online, would the power extender work as a common wire on a boiler?
Question was if the power extender works for common on a boiler. No, you really can't use this on a boiler. You've got to have a fan control, right, to really use this.
And Anthony wants to know what plate is recommended to J-stall the Ecobee if there is an electrical 2x4 plate in the wall?
Yeah, get that one a lot. Depending on the the area throughout the country, you might have a building code requirement that you have to run direct into the junction box, right? So we have plates. All of the RSMs out in the field, there's 8 of us across the country. We carry them with us. Tell that person they can email me, and I'm happy to ship them some.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also Scott wants to know what about locking out other users or adding a predetermined set point range?
Yeah, so you can lock out users with the 4-digit lockout passcode. You can also lock out those preferences.
Okay.
Yep. So you can determine what access you want the user to have if they don't know the password. Right, so you can do both of those things. Yep. Questions? Okay. All right, so any other questions on how this works? Differences here? Okay. So gonna go through a quick setup process and then we're pretty much done. For those of you with the boards, if you want to reset these, you just go into your settings. It's like they call it a little hamburger menu, 3 lines. You're gonna go settings, reset, and then reset all. So that's a factory reset. You can also just reset the the user, so the registration information, so you don't have to change the equipment settings. There's a few different ways you can do that, but if you do the reset all, that's what you should see. Yep. Okay, cool. So I'll just run through this. Just take me a couple minutes here. When you power it up, you've got it wired on the wall, you turn the power on, you should see this happen, right? You're going to get an auto detection wiring feature. It's going to ask you to confirm which wires are running. So just hit yes, only 1 power wire. If this is wrong, you have 2 power wires. Just make sure it matches the wires that are running to the back of the stat. Make sure your equipment configuration matches here. 98% of the time, I'd say this is accurate. Sometimes if you're running through a zoning panel, certain equipment, it may not pick up a wire. So you just got to make sure you double check that. Yes, please.
Do you change this at all whenever you hook up the common?
The power extender kit? No, so it should still auto detect whether you're using this or not. You don't have to change. So I'm sorry, the question was, do you have to change on the thermostat programming your wiring configuration if you're using the power extender kit? And the answer is no. It should automatically determine what is run into the thermostat. You just have to make sure that the wires are configured at the sub base correctly. Yeah. So if this is wrong, you can hit back and you can hit modify and you can manually pick and choose which terminals you want to activate. You just got to make sure that it's looking for the input, right? Because it is a computer. It's not a traditional thermostat. It's going to ask you, do you have an accessory, right? So are you running a humidifier, dehumidifier, ventilator? If you're running a humidifier, it's going to ask you, is it evaporative? Is it steam? If it's a ventilator, it's going to ask you ERV, HRV. It's always going to ask a different series of questions based on what your configuration is. Yes, please, question.
How about outdoor sensors? You haven't said anything about that.
Yeah, so the question was outdoor sensors. Reason I haven't mentioned it is because we don't use them. So no outdoor wired or wireless sensor. We just use Wi-Fi to pull in the weather data. Weather comes in from 3 points of interest based on your zip code, like a park, school, etc., airport. So just choose which accessory you're running, right? Is it one wire? Is it two wire? It's going to ask you. Just make sure that that matches. If you guys need wiring diagrams, because you can control the humidity right through the stat, I've got diagrams for humidifiers, dehumidifiers. Just shoot me an email. Let me know. I don't think I put it in here because I didn't want it to go too long. We could really get advanced if we wanted to. Fahrenheit or Canada, as we say, haha. No one uses Celsius. Furnace or boiler are you running, right? So most of the time you're probably running a furnace. If you choose furnace, it's going to ask you different questions than if you choose a boiler. For the sake of training, we just pick furnace because typically that's the case. It's going to ask you to choose how do you want to control the fan, right? So you have the option of controlling the fan through the thermostat. You can manually turn it on or off. You can run it X minutes on the hour, however long you want it to run. If you pick equipment or furnace, then it's just going to let the equipment take over and control the span. Whether it's variable speed, it'll work, no problem. You know, just the control happens at the equipment. So you have to name it. So you can name it whatever you want. You can scroll all the way down and you can enter your own name. And then you have to connect to Wi-Fi, most importantly, right? You don't have to use Wi-Fi. You can skip this step, very bottom. The nice thing about Ecobee is if you don't have Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi goes out, it's still going to work as a thermostat because these sensors are radio frequency. So you're still going to be able to control the temperature through these without Wi-Fi. These do not connect to the network. It's still going to work like a normal thermostat if you don't have a Wi-Fi signal, right? So just select the network. If you want to use a little shortcut, you can go onto an iPhone. They have to have an Apple device in the home. God bless you. It's not going to work with Android. So this is a little cheat through HomeKit that we have. You can go in to your Wi-Fi settings. So homeowner, you know, is there ideally with you, right? They've got an iPad or an iPod or something, and it's on their Wi-Fi. You never have to know their password. So you can just say, can I borrow that phone for a second? Go here into their Wi-Fi settings, just like you're at Starbucks, and select the serial number. You can actually see, I thought one of these would pop up. It'll pop up, the serial number will display here just like a network, just like you're at a coffee shop. Select it. Within a minute or so, it's going to pair the two. It's going to automatically connect the thermostat through the phone, and you never have to know what their password is. So it's a huge time saver. Yes, sir.
Competitors, you got to go online, register, do all that stuff before you can do any of that. You have to do that with you guys. Go online and register your thermostat and put in the MAC codes and all that kind of stuff.
So the question was, do you still have to register the thermostat online to be able to use it from a phone, basically, right? So yeah, the answer is yes. It's a lot simpler than most of our competitors, but you still have to go in and enter a registration code to activate it, to be able to use it from a device, yeah. And I'll touch on that real quick. No, you're good. No problem. No, I love the questions. So if you have to do it the old school way, just find the network, right? Enter the password in. The only problem is, like, I've got fat fingers. This is kind of hard to type on here. But still, within a minute or so, you should be able to get them to connect, and it'll work like a charm, just like a smartphone, you know. Question?
So with it being the new upgraded software, we won't see the bee buzzing as long.
Correct. Yes, it's going to be much quicker. Yeah. So the question was, will you see the bee buzzing around as long now with the new faster processor? And no, you won't. Everything's faster with this one. Yeah. Even when you boot it up, it's like 10 seconds and it's ready. You know, it's pretty cool. So with any success, you're connected. You just hit next here. Now it's just going to ask you a few questions about the equipment. So how do you want to run the equipment? Heat, cool, auto, off. You just drag the set point up and down. So what's your ideal indoor temperature in the winter? What's your ideal summer indoor temperature? These are just preferences. You can go change these. You can change them from the phone if you want. We just need this input initially when you're setting it up. And then smart home, smart away. So do you want to use the automatic setback feature? Yes or no? You don't have to use it. I hear stories all the time. Guys just like you, you're out in the sun all summer working, you're hot. You don't want to come home and wait a half an hour for the system to recover. You can turn it off, right? But you're not going to save as much money not using it. If you're using it, you're going to save a lot more off your utility bills. You can choose the country. We put 100 countries in there. I'm not sure why. We just sell them in the US and Canada, but they're all out there. So just select US. Pick your time zone. So I think Indianapolis is on here. And then this is it. So this is the final step, right? You've got this 4-digit code now. And this is where you have to register the device to a mobile app. So the last step is really up to the homeowner, whoever's going to control it from their phone. They're going to have to download the Ecobee app, and they're going to have to go out there, and this is going to be the first question they get, is what is this 4-digit code? Once they put that in, they create an account, they answer some questions about their home. It takes them all of 5 minutes, maybe. Just make sure they remember their email address is always their username, set a password. Once it's registered, it's going to display white here. So it's going to say registration complete. So if you can do this process with the homeowner, it's ideal. Obviously, in the world we live in, they're probably not there half the time, right? So if they're not, you just have to make sure you get them this code, write it down, take a picture, tell them they have 24 hours to register the device. So if they don't do it in the first day, this code will roll. So this is a security feature we've built in. Every 24 hours, the code changes. And if they haven't done it, and they call you a couple days later and they say, hey, I tried to pair my phone to the stat, it's not working, what's up? All they have to do, you don't have to go out and see them or anything. Go to your settings here, and at the very top, you're going to see a little reminder bubble that says registration, 1 step left. All they got to do is hit that, and it'll display what the new code is. Every 24 hours, they'll be able to see that new code. Questions?
That code changes all the time, every 24 hours.
Changes every day, yeah. I mean, that's one way we try to prevent someone from coming and taking over your thermostat and sweating you out of your house. I mean, essentially, yeah. Right, only initially when you set it up, yeah.
I think you just answered it. Mark wanted to know, can you access the code after initial installation?
Yeah, so you can access it within the first 24 hours just by going to the menu. It's going to pop up at the main menu in the top. Until it's registered, it's always going to display there, yeah. So sensors, right? If you set it up for the homeowner, they have some sensors they want to add. This is new, so I wanted to make sure to cover this. Originally, the old room sensors, you had a pull tab, you pop this, the radio frequency picks up and it automatically will ask you, do you want to pair it, right? When you pair them now, you're going to go into the app, right? So you're going to go on your phone and you're going to hit pair sensor here. It's going to ask you which version room sensors you've got. So you go in, sensors, add sensor. Which one is it, right? So is it the new smart sensor or is it the original room sensor? If you hit smart sensor, there's a little QR code in the back of every one of these now. So it's on the pull tab. It's also behind the battery. So you can just scan this through the camera on your phone. and it just automatically pairs it to the thermostat you picked in the app. So this is nice because you don't have to go back to the thermostat to pair every sensor. You can be throughout the house, down in the basement, wherever you're at, and just scan it with the phone and it's done. So another little time saver we built in. I guess if you lose that QR code, just pull the battery out and you're still gonna be able to see it. And then if you want to manually enter it, or you don't have a smartphone with a camera, right? You can just choose the manual option at the bottom there, and you can type in that pairing code. Yeah, probably not. Yes, I agree. But hey, you don't have to have one, I guess. Anybody can use it. So this is pretty much it, guys. If they have Alexa and they want to use the speaker, they've got to have the Alexa app. They've also got to have the Ecobee app. So it looks like this. It's a little green bee. They want to download the Alexa smart home app. They want to download the little residential green bee Ecobee app. I'll just show you. This is how it looks when you download it. You hit register my device, and then you're going to type in that 4-digit code, first thing it asks for. And then it's going to ask you, which model is it, answer some questions, set up an account, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, it is. Everything's been updated. Yeah. Yep. One quick thing to mention. So this is the last point. I know we're well over an hour in, but a lot of good questions today, which I always appreciate. Smart buildings. So last fall, I was here to talk about smart buildings. This is our commercial product. It's software. This allows you to use any Ecobee device and control it from one online account, right? There's a mobile app for it now. There's a lot of updates since last year that I just wanted to mention. So you can use any thermostat. You've got full visibility as far as remotely monitoring multiple locations. If you have 20 buildings, you can have all 20 of those locations. If each building has 10 thermostats in it, you can see all 200 thermostats on that one account. You can bulk filter, you can make bulk updates. It's a small subscription that we charge per thermostat to use this. It's great because companies can save a lot of money. They don't have to use building automation, right? They just need Wi-Fi and they need Ecobee thermostats, and now they've got this option. It's kind of a good in-between building automation and just your basic conventional or traditional thermostat. So with smart buildings, the cost is starting at $20 per year per stat. If you go up to a 10-year subscription, it gets a lot cheaper. It goes up to $120 for 10 years, which is only $1 a month. At $20 a year, it's about $167 a month. So it's going to depend on how long of a subscription they purchase. 5-year warranty. We're finding a lot of companies that are using this now are buying 5-year subscriptions. It just makes sense, right? What's new? We've got multi-user access rolled out now. So you've got the ability to assign various roles. You can have unlimited people. You can give them a building manager role where they can only control one location. You can give them an admin role where they can control every location. You can use like the owner admin role where they have access to billing information and personal account information. Different levels, different authorization access points that each user would have. Remote sensors now are featured or built into the portal. We didn't have that last year. Now any of these sensors that you're using, whether it's residential, commercial, whatever, you'll have that full visibility in smart buildings as far as what these are telling you, occupancy, temperature. And then you've got customized reporting, which we just recently rolled out. So much like the Home IQ, this will show you a nice pretty graph, runtime information, alerts, reminders. This is the basis for all that. That's how it all works. And then finally, the last thing to add for us is tenant control. So this is still coming this year, but this is exciting. Once we have this built out, it's going to be really useful because a multi-residential application can have tenants come and go, and they can pass that control back and forth to whoever's occupying that space. So it's going to integrate with the residential free app, but ultimately whoever's managing that building has final control, and they can take that control back and forth, hand it out, take it back through the Smart Buildings portal. So that's coming. Any questions on this? Just always want to mention that. It's another option out there for your customers, right? Okay, I think if that's it, then thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
A round of applause.
It's fun.
Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We've got some free giveaways here for somebody here. All of these products are available here at Jackson Systems. We can imprint the wall plates just like we could for the other Ecobees. So please give us a call if you have any questions. We'd love to chat. We can even set up our own personal training with you guys to go over this product with your entire team. So again, thank you so much for attending tonight. We appreciate it. Give Pete another round of applause for doing that training.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, guys.
Great group.
Hope to see you for the next one. Thank you so much. Take care.